technology can be good. And when I look on the horizon, I can only predict a future augmented by more technology. But what is powering today's greatest tech inventions? I'm talking about electrical cars, robots, drones, solar panels, or everyday gadgets, such as mobile phones, computers, iPads, or even your earphones. What is making these machines work? Besides the fact that people are putting them together. Well, you may say it's science and innovation, or it's smart manufacturing techniques, or it's just pure and genius software development skills. But the truth is, today's greatest tech inventions are powered by minerals. Minerals such as cobalt, lithium, copper, zinc, tin, and many more. Without these minerals, it is impossible to talk about a green energy transitioning world. Without these minerals, it is impossible to talk about an electrical car or bicycle or any rechargeable gadgets that you have. Now, I come from a country that holds the largest reserves of these minerals. And this is supposed to be good news for us, right? And one may think we must be really wealthy. And yes, we are, because under the soil of the Democratic Republic of Congo lies the world's largest reserve of cobalt, the planet combined. In this moment, the DRC supplies 70% of the world cobalt demand. But yet, we're listed as one of the poorest countries in the world. How do you correlate greatest tech inventions with extreme poverty? The equation does not make sense to anybody. But when you start to dig deep to try and understand this equation, you realize that under this shiny big tech movement lies a world of exploitation for men, women, and even children laboring on cobalt mines in the Congo. Exposure to these minerals for extended time has disastrous consequences for these miners. For all of them, it's skin cancer, lung cancer. For women, it's stillbirth or miscarriages. And for the little ones, it's birth defects and a life expectancy of less than 10 years. In his book, Cobalt Red, How the Blood of Congo Powers Our Lives, Mr. Siddharth Kara, who is an associate professor at Nottingham University and spent some time in the Congo researching this topic, he meets a young lady on the mines, sieving some sand to try and feel as much sex as possible. He asks her, how much cobalt can you feel in a sack in a day? She tells him, if I really work hard for 12 hours a day, I can only manage one sack. And that's for $1 a day. She looks at him in the eyes and tells him, in this place, it is better not to be born. It is better to be dead. Now, I'm not here to just bash the big tech companies, your Apple, Google, Tesla, or Samsung. Because even I have been working in the tech industry for 10 years, and I can testify to the improvements that it has made to our lives. Improvements such as making education accessible with devices we can all learn online. Or improvements in the healthcare services, where we use drones to deliver medical services or equipment to rural areas. Or improvements in the banking industry, where the world's most unbanked people can now use mobiles to access services, banking services. And so technology gives us just what we need at most times. But beneath it, there is an ugly world that is powering all of this innovation. And so the greatest question I can ask you today is, can you trade your comfort for accountability? How many of you in this room maybe plan on buying an electrical vehicle? A few. How many of you have a smartphone, iPad, computer? Most of you. Now, how many of you have ever sat down and tried to figure out how those gadgets are made or what's inside? Very few, as you can see. And it's not an only you problem. A study conducted by GlobeScan and the World Wildlife Fund discovered that only 3 out of 10 people consider ethics and sustainability in decision-making powers when buying something. And only 1 out of 10 people regularly sit down and trace the origin story of their products. And so I know what I'm asking you is very difficult to achieve, because tech is convenient, it's efficient, and our busy lives, we just don't have time. And so I have developed a solution that might get us at least a step forward to becoming ethically conscious as individuals. And that is the YGIW solution. And the Y stands for you. Upon hearing the stories, I implore you to become a conscious consumer. Your purchasing power is a sponsorship to corporations to continue producing. Without your demand, they will not be producing anything. But since you depend on these machines anyway, you can also use your power to ask them to tell you where they're coming from. You have that power as a consumer because your money means a lot to them. The G stands for government. Governments are there to regulate, to govern, to make sure that all citizens are taken care of, putting laws and regulations and policies that ensures that nobody should be taken advantage of. We can request our governments to put in policies to regulate mining companies right here in Europe and also on the continent in Congo. We can ask that through our votes and civic engagements. The I stands for institutions. What does the UN stand for? What does UNICEF stand for in situations like this? Are they able to speak up? Are they strengthened enough by citizens so they can call out actions like this? There aren't enough strong institutions in the Congo to stand up to this crisis. But if we have institutions that are stronger globally, we can empower them to take a stand and try to reduce the pain of these miners. And lastly, the W stands for global citizens. We as global citizens need to come together and say no. No more exploitation, no more destruction of the planet based on profit. We can do this. We can do this by forming alliances, empowering one another with skills for organizing collectively and reverse the current system. Now, I know there is no greater achievement in the world that has ever been done alone. The machines we have today, the tech we have today, and we're going to have in the future is being powered by men, women, and children whose voices we may never hear and whose story will never be told. And the question still remains for me, can you trade your comfort so somebody else can have a chance at life?